Good evening and welcome to one and all present here. I am Shweta Bagwe, your host for today. Switch India is a pan India healthcare organization of 1500 plus medical professionals all across 8 states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, and Karnataka working on various healthcare related social activities, including conducting free health checkup camps, working on physical and mental health, spreading awareness on various medical conditions, and so forth. Through Switch India, we present to you this series of sessions called Stepping Out of PT School and Answer to What After Graduation for all the physiotherapists to be in order to explore and know more about the latest options available in your field from the ones who are practicing them currently. The topics of the series are divided into 4 sections for 4 weeks. In the first week, we had our speakers guide you on how you will be able to pursue your further studies in foreign countries like UK, Canada, Australia, and the United States, as well as the options that will be available for jobs in that country or in India. So, if you're thinking of studying abroad in future, this would be a great opportunity to get your doubts cleared. The videos for the same are up on our YouTube channel. Have you decided what's going to be your specialization field for PG? While studying for my final year, I have always wondered which field shall I pursue my masters in. I'm always so confused as to choose MSK or community PT. Neuro and cardiorespiratory sound interesting, while onco PT is totally new for me. Do you all face a similar problem? In the second week, we had guidance from our presenters about the scope and recent options available for specialization in various fields post UG. The videos for this series are also up on our YouTube channel. Once we are done with the studies, begins the actual exam. So, have you decided which work setup would be best for you? Do you think working in a hospital would be good, or do you wish to set up your own clinic? Many of you all could be great researchers, and many can become amazing teachers. In order to clarify our doubts on these sectors, we have the third week of sessions in which our speakers having an experience of working in that field will guide us regarding the advantages and challenges we could face in each of them. The fourth week is all about what is the scope and current scenario of physiotherapy in today's world and how, because of COVID 19, the situation has changed in general and about how tele-rehab is nowadays growing well. We thank everyone who tuned in for our previous sessions and gave such an overwhelming response. We have a lot more insightful information to share with you all over the coming sessions, so stay tuned. Beginning with our third section, we present to you our fourth talk, that is guidance on how to set up your own clinic. I'd request all the participants to keep putting your questions in the live chat option below and let us know your views in the comments section. Your questions will be addressed towards the end of the session. I'd like to welcome our honorable speaker for today, Dr. Gajanan Bhalerao. Dr. Gajanan is a founder and director of GB School of Neuro Rehab and Aquatic Therapy, Pune. He is a PhD scholar of physiotherapy and has done his master's in neuroscience. Dr. Gajanan is certified in adult NDT, NDTA USA, aquatic therapy from Switzerland, motor learning from Australia, and PNF therapy level 1 to 4, IPNFA. He has 17 years of clinical experience in neuro rehab and 12 years of academic experience. Good evening and welcome, Dr. Gajanan. We shall now begin with the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Switch India, for inviting me for this lecture. So we'll start with the session.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to talk about what are the careers in clinics, and in this, with regard to the topics which Switch India has already started for the new graduates from the physiotherapy field. What are the scopes I'm going to discuss in the top field of clinical physiotherapy, or starting your own clinic, or you are doing a job in the clinics. So how a physiotherapy clinic can be a good future prospect after Bachelor of Physiotherapy. So in this, if you look at overall job options in physiotherapy, we have college, hospitals, clinic for jobs, or your own clinical business, or you can work with sports franchises as a therapist, or you have government options. government therapist. Out of these last three options, there is a limited number of seats available and less scope. But those who are willing to go in this particular field, they can go for that. But these three options are very commonly been observed. Like most of us, after doing our post graduation, we tend to apply for college as a lecturer, because for undergraduate college lecture is not available. So only masters people can apply for college. The second scope is basically hospitals and clinics. So whenever we pass out of our colleges, we either apply in hospitals or clinics. So those who get their jobs based on their credential in the hospital, they join hospital. Or few of the people who can't get direct job in the hospital, they go to the options of clinics for application of the job. And few people who don't get either hospital or clinics, they start on their own. Or those who already got financial support or some technical support, they already they directly start their own clinic. So today I'm going to discuss a lot about clinical setup. For my experience, I worked in a hospital setup as well as college as a associate professor, and in clinics also. So I have a combination of three job experiences. So I'm going to compare a little bit all the three, and especially I'm going to focus on hospital and clinics more, and then I will tell you what is good and what is different in different field and different scopes. So for to join in a clinics as a employee, or for the job, what are the eligibility criteria? So first of all, let me tell you that people think that there is only scope for jobs in the hospital. It is not completely true, because there are limited number of hospital all over the India, and in a city you may have maximum typical corporate hospital around range of 10 to 20, and each hospital averagely has only 10 to 20 therapists. So there is a limited therapist can be observed every year. But if you look at the number of clinics in the whole city, it will be around 10 times more than the hospital setup. So if you look at the prospect to get a job in clinics is much more higher, or 10 times higher than the hospitals. And the beauty is that if you go to the hospital, they prefer mainly masters people for a job. For graduate people, you have some hospitals take graduate, but some people don't take graduate. But in clinics, there is a combination of both jobs prospect. You can have a BPT or a MPT in clinics, and based on the clinical need, they hire both. So I suggest clinic has a more scope of absorption of new budding therapist, and there is a higher scope of job opportunity. And next thing, because there is also high scope of shifting on people from one clinic to another, or they go out of India, or they start their own clinic. So there is a more chances of more vacancy there, and the frequency of change is also more there, and vacancy is very more frequently available in clinics. Next part, if you don't get complete full-time job, there are also called as locum vacancies. Like some people from that clinic is gone for a few days vacations, say 10 days or 1 month or 3 months vacation. So the clinics cannot run on its own, because it is a small setup and they always require some replacement. So there is always a scope of locum vacancy in clinics. So if you are not getting job for full-time job or a regular job, you can also apply for locum vacancy. And let me tell you, whenever you apply for locum, 80% of the time, whenever you apply for the locum, whenever they get a new job vacancy, they always recruit you, because you have already worked them with as a locum. They understand your work ethics, they understand your skill, they know you, they can contact you. So there is a very much high chances that you will get observed in that job in particular clinic wherever you do locums. Same thing can be happened with the hospital also. In hospitals also, some hospitals allow locum, some hospital doesn't allow locum. Those hospital who has a larger number of therapists working there, so the therapists switch over the job and they manage the whole department without locum. But small hospitals, they do always have locum vacancy. So please, those who are willing to work for locum for few months or few days, it is also good opportunity. Even if you work for 5 days or 10 days, they will understand your skills, and there is high chances that you will get job in that particular hospital or clinic whenever you apply next, or they will by themselves will contact you and you will get the job. Looking at the work hours, usually in hospitals the work hours are 8 hours, but few clinics they take 8-hour shift, or they do the 12-hour shift also, and you will also get reimbursed the payment based on the number of hours. Like I've seen a lot of hospitals and clinics in Gujarat, there the shift is around 12 hours, and they get paid very well. So you can work for 8-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts, in clinics there is always a scope for part-time jobs also. Like sometimes it is 4 hours, even 2-hour shifts are also there. Based on their need, they are more flexible in clinics in terms of work shift or part-time job compared to the hospital. They tend to keep full-time jobs, especially 8 or 8.5 hour shift. And in that also they have morning shift or evening shift or afternoon shift. Like that they can do the overlap of the shifts. But in clinics there is a huge scope of work timing. It based on what is your availability of time, what is your scope. If you are studying in first half, like if you are doing masters, you can apply for part-time job in the some clinics for 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever the time you can spare. Or those girls who are married and you cannot give your full-time time to the clinics or the hospital, you can go and work in some clinic as a part-time, and that is also one of the very very lucrative business where you can get experience and you will get paid for your work. So usually the overall work hours of a clinic or a hospital is from 9 to 9, or sometimes 9 to 7. But in clinics the working hours always they start at 9. Sometimes it goes up to 10 p.m. in the night. Some clinics also run till 11 p.m. So there is a huge scope of work hours in clinics, and those who can't get time in daytime, they can work in late hours clinics where they are starting in late evening and they are working till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. That is also how you can get extra income. Those who are studying masters or those BPTs who are doing something different in like suppose in morning you are doing a job in a hospital, and evening you are free, or if you don't have a home visit and or you don't want to go for home visit, you can apply for these evening jobs in clinics. What are the skills required to excel in the clinics? I think the most important job in clinics, usually in hospital setup, they require a lot of documentation. They check your degrees, they check your lot of certificates. But in the clinics, if your therapeutic skills are good and if your communication skills are good, or even not good, if you are average, you get easily absorbed, because you are working directly under the skilled therapist or the leading therapist. Even if you are not excellent in your own skills, he will always supervise you, he will guide you, he will give hand in hand treatment, and under his observation you will be trained. So for clinics there is a little bit flexibility in the therapeutic skill, and within few months you will be able to come to their level, because you are under close observation. There is a more flexibility of therapeutic skill in the clinic compared to the hospital, because you are independent, you are the sole responsible person for that particular patient in that duration, because you are roaming around the different part of the department in the hospital, or you are in IPD, so you are most of the time on your own. But in clinics, the beauty is that you are 90% of the time the leading therapist or the senior therapist are always observing you, or they are around you, and anytime you got any problem in your treatment or some questions in your planning, you can approach them and they will help you. So even good average therapeutic skills are sufficient for clinics. If you have got good therapist skill, then obviously they are going to observe you faster. In clinics, the communication skill, I think it is very very important, because it is a lot of one-to-one communication going on there. And how do you express, how do you plan, how do you communicate, how do you make public relations skills with them. All these things are going to build up the relationship between the patient and the therapist, and that is how the patient will be willing to come more frequently on the OPD basis for regular therapy for say 10 days, 15 days, or for months. Usually the footfalls is more in clinics, people come first time or second time, but the recurrent therapeutic treatment or the follow-up treatment always less if your communication skills are not good. But if your communication skill and public relation skills are very good, the patients are going to keep coming to the clinics compared to the hospitals, because hospital itself has the reputation and there are doctors around there always. So even if your communication skills are average, and even you don't need to convince the patient to come for a regular follow-up, because they believe in the hospital, they believe in the doctor, who is the leading doctor, let's say orthopedic or neurosurgeon, and when they tell them to come for 10-15 days or for months, they will keep coming. But in clinics, we need to show our therapeutic skills, your communication skill and public relations skills. Based on that, the patient decides to come for frequent follow-up or not. So here I am giving, as I said, even if your average therapeutic skill is good in clinics, but if your communication skill and public relations skills in clinic has to be at most important, and they should be extremely well. When I say communication skill, I'm not talking about how skillful you are good in English or any language. I'm just saying that it doesn't matter what language you are using. You can use any basic language, local languages, but you need to communicate your thoughts to the patients very clearly. There has to be full clarity of your communication and your relationship as a public relations skills. How do you talk? What is your manner of talking? How do you appreciate them? And how do you handle them? All these small details are very much important in the clinical setup. Along with that, even average documentation skills are good enough, because documentation in clinics is very simple, and it is always structured and streamlined. There are few pages only you are supposed to fill up every day, and it is more easy documentation in the clinics compared to the hospitals, because they are following a lot of NABH standards, and there is a lot of documentation. So clinics, there is a little bit less documentation, and some clinics, they also have their own software, so you can directly fill up in the software, so that makes your job very easy. After this, I suggest leadership skills are very much important, because here and the teamwork, here it is a group of 3 or 4 people or maximum 10 people working together. In that, you need to show your leadership skill as well as teamwork combined. And when I say leadership skill, by default, the owner or the lead therapist of the clinic is always the leading therapist, and he will be the leader. But when I'm talking about not leader as a hierarchy wise, I'm talking about leadership skills. They are called as situational leadership skills. Like based on whatever the problem happens at that time, you should come forward, take ownership and take leadership and solve the problem. Example, suppose on that day your lead therapist is absent, or he's busy with someone else, and suddenly new patients comes or some complication comes. So you have to step in, take the leadership, take it as your own challenge, and then solve it, and then communicate with your team. And it is because a small team, you cannot have a dispute among each other, and you should have to create a very good team in a small work. Or sometimes you have to work solo also, like, because if you are 1 or 2 therapists are working in the OPD, and in that case you need to do the whole solo work, you have to manage the whole OPD. Or even your lead therapist is not available, then also you have to do independent work, and again switch your role from a member of team to a leadership level. Here you are the leader and you are also the team, like, because your 1 or 2 therapists are only there. So it is a very important thing to do in a clinical setup. Very frequently discussed the pay scale, like larger population of the therapists, they prefer to go to the hospital for job. So it is just a rough sketch which I am presenting here. The most of the statistics are from Pune. It might change from city to city, but there will be 10 to 15, 20% up and down in the amount paid in different cities. Like for a hospital setup, a BPT after grad, just a fresher, this is the salary about the freshers. You can have variation when they get more experience. So for freshers, most of the hospital, they pay from 12 to 15. Masters, they get 15 to 25. It is variable based on their skill. And the increment is around 3 to 7% in the hospital based on their performance. And there are some medical benefit like medical insurance, or they get discounts on some medicines, or they get discount on their treatment if it is done in their own hospital. Next, very attractive job is college job. Most of the people who are very good um, in their curriculum, or in their sorry, not curriculum, in their academic scores, and they want to pursue the job in college as a lecturer, they can apply. But this is not open for PPT, it is only open for masters. When you joined as a fresher for a lecturer or assistant professor, when you join fresher, you might start at 2025, and then it will yearly it increases. After 5 years you become associate professor, and then you get around 50 to 70, and after that also you go to 70 to 90, based on different city it might vary. And the increment is always based on the slab which you are in the which slab you are, like if you are in a assistant professor or associate professor. And benefits are variable from college to college. Whereas clinics again, the clinic fresher BPT, they get around 10 12 to 15 per month, and it can increase up to 30 k per month based on what is your skill. So based on your skill and variations, you can have increment up to 30 k per month. Whereas in masters you can start from 50 to 20, and it goes up to 50 k. Again, this is based on your experience, it can increase. And the average increment is around 5 to 10% in clinics. And benefits, they are optional, or they are case to case basis based on the clinical setup. Last is basically if you own your own clinic, because in own clinic there is no limit, it is a BPT or MPT, anybody can start their own clinic, and the income may start from 20k per month, or it can go up to 2 to 3 lakhs per month, based on your skills, your communication skill, your therapeutic skill. And all the increment is whatever your own preference, you can do your own increment if you are self-employed, and that is how you get salaried yourself. Based on that, your business model, you can get variable increments. And the benefit is basically you get a lot of freedom. The freedom is like freedom of time, freedom of salary, freedom of work ethics, freedom of your planning of protocols of therapy. So in different aspect, you get a lot of freedom in your own clinic, and you can do activities which you want to be more preferred in your clinic, and that is how you get a lot of freedom. And in the end, if you start a good clinical business and it is working well, so say you are able to run the clinic for 5 to 10 years with average to good increment, or sorry, good growth in the business, then in the end, maybe after 15-20 years, you will be able to get a good financial freedom. Talking about the financial freedom, sorry, you can get financial freedom if you start your own clinic or own business. You cannot get financial freedom in the hospital setup or college setup or clinical setup. You will be always dependent on the college, clinic, or hospital for your income. But if you set up your own clinic and you set up a good business, then you will be able to get your financial freedom. What are the job roles in the clinics? First of all, if you are working as an independent therapist, you may need to do the complete evaluation, planning, and treatment. Or sometime in clinic, you also get assistant therapist job. Like there is a lead therapist, and you are supporting for his different role. In that case, sometime you may or may not get complete first evaluation, because always the leading therapist does the first evaluation. You may be involved in the planning and treatment, and all evaluation will be done along with your leading therapist. Again, you have to do the documentation, or some departmental organizational activity, like some promotional activity, marketing activity, or public relations activity has to be done. The beauty in a clinical setup is that because it is a very small setup, here you get multiple types of role. Not only just as a therapeutic, sometimes you will act as a part of HR team, you will act as a public relation team, you will also do the billing and accounting. Because of this small setup, and because in clinic the job roles keep switching, you get experience of everything. And I think that is most beautiful part of clinics. Because in future, if you are doing a job in clinic, and you are in future you are planning to start your own setup or own clinic, you got experience of everything. You got experience of evaluation, treatment and planning. You got experience of marketing. You got experience of billing and accounting, marketing. So I suggest, if you are in long term planning for starting your own startup or own business, then please do job in clinics and get more experience there, and in long run you can start your own setup. What are the challenges here? Being it as a small setup, ownership and responsibility is much higher. It is at highest state. In hospitals and college, usually the responsibility lies on the hospital and on the college, but here the ownership is completely on you, because even the leader therapist available there, but there is a lot of ownership and responsibility lies on you. So you become more responsible, more organized, more planned. uh, the problem here in OPD is that there is a variable flow of patients. Sometimes you get more patients, sometimes you get less patient, and most of the clinics, they are specific to their work. Like some clinic are only orthopedic type of clinic, some clinic are only neuro type of clinic, or some clinic are only catering geriatric, or some clinics are only focusing on fitness training. Like you get limited generalizability of the uh, patient, and you will get less experience compared to the hospital. Because it is general hospital, you get experience from all the field. You get ortho, neuro, geriatric, pediatric, all combination can be there, and you can get a experiences there. So this is a challenge also. If you are in the beginning of your career and you want experience from the all field, then I suggest either you join a hospital or you join a clinic for 2 years in orthopedic, then you do 1 or 2 year in neuro or other field, like that. You can decide which field you want to go. Most of the clinics are always lead therapist based approach. Like whosoever is the lead therapist, he plans the therapy. He has his own unique way of treating. Example, suppose I'm an orthopedic therapist, and I prefer more of Mulligan or McKenzie, or say um, some manipulation type of technique. I focus most of the therapy on that. Or somebody is on more on electrotherapy type of modality, he will focus more on that. Or some don't want electrotherapy, they are only on hand based approach, so you'll get a lot of hand based approach there. So like that, whosoever is leading therapist, most of the protocols or most of the therapeutic technique, most of the planning is based on that individual person's experience or his needs, or what he wants more. You sometimes have a flexibility, but he will always have a better say than you in planning the treatment. So that is also one of the challenges happens in the clinics. And there is a limited scope of experience letter, because here you are getting an experience letter from a specific clinic, from a specific person in a small setup. It may or may not be considerable for larger setup or corporate setup. So I think there is a little bit limitation here in terms of experience letter for a general eligibility of your job experience in bigger hospitals. So if you look at the general discussion, we'll just combine all that and try to do the pros and cons for any, the clinics and hospital and colleges. So here I am considering clinic as one, and other thing as a separate entity. So if you look at the vacancy, in vacancy, the pros of clinics are there is a lot of vacancy and frequent vacancies there. Cons are basically the people switch the job very frequently. They are working only for 2-3 years. So every 2-3 years we have to search new therapist, and therapist keeps on changing. There is an exposure of patient of a specific type of activities. Like there are specific therapeutic people are coming, or suppose orthopedic specialty, geriatric specialty, like that. You get only specific type of work, and it is this is important problem. This can be a good also, and this can be bad also, because it is specific to that particular specialty. Like somebody is from lot of manipulative therapist is there, so he's doing a lot of manipulations. So if you want to get good experience in manipulations, then go to that center. Or if somebody is doing adult neuro, you go to that person. If somebody is doing pediatric patients, then you go to that patient. So that's a good thing also, and it is a bad thing also, because you are only getting exposure of some particular patients or some particular techniques only. Like some entity therapists, they only follow entity therapist therapy. Some does combination of all the therapies. So there are small limitation like this. So because these are limited to their activities, your experiences will be from a particular specialty only. But there is a beauty of the experience of clinics that you get widespread experience of therapeutic work, marketing, accounting, PR, and HR, and this will prepare you for your future startup or starting your own clinic. You will get experience of everything. But the problem, you are getting specific field experience only. Income, actually the income is very much variable in clinics. It can start from small income to high income based on your performance, and due to that there is a limited job but unlimited income if you are having your own clinic. The scope, the most important part I think is that learn how to start your own clinic. So whenever you work in this type of small setup or a clinics, you are exposed to all the types of domain, from therapeutic domain, marketing, accounting domain, advertising, and you are getting directly contact with the owner who is running the business. So you learn a lot of things from that person to start your own clinic. In the end, I suggest that you start your own startup. So how to start your own startup? So these are small requirement. Most of the business strategists says that you should always start small and grow big. So you can start from very small setup like 200 to 500 square feet clinic, and then you make it big as you grow. You can start with the small time investment, like you can do a part-time thing. You can start only for 2-3 hours. You can take a polyclinic and you work there only for 2-3 hours, or hire that setup for 2-3 hours. Like that also it is available. And you have to invest your time and money. So if you invest little bit time and money with small investment, you will get larger return in long run. The office rent or the clinic rent may be variable from for the small setup around 200 to 500 square feet, from 30,000 to 20 to 30,000 you can start. And then if you are able to grow, then you can go for bigger setup. The furniture and equipment averagely it ranges from 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs. It's enough for starting a new startup. And you can start with 1 or 2 therapists and 1 or 2 support staff, like ward boy type persons who are helping you, on the reception person. So these 2-3 persons are sufficient to start your own startup. Along with that, you also require accountant and CA. These are not required monthly. They are mostly either quarterly or yearly. If you make your accounts properly and then you go to your accountant, he can do all the calculation quarterly, and your CA will get involved yearly. Along with that, if you are possible, you should have your own website, or you can write a blog, very simple blog. Nowadays you can start your website on a blog which doesn't cost a lot, and with that you can start your marketing and advertising. Or if you don't want to do all these things, you can buy a Practo app. Practo app is basically it is for getting clients also. It gives you an online presence, and the same app can be used for documentation, appointment booking, as well as billing also. So everything is recorded in this app. So small investment in this is also enough. At present, Practo is nearly about costing 15,000 to 16,000 per year. A basic module costs around 15 to 16,000 per year. So you can take that and you can start your own clinic. The beauty is that the income scope is very much high in the clinical setup. Like if you work in a job, maybe clinic, hospital, or college, your income will range from 20,000 to maximum 50 to 70,000. But if you start your own clinic, within 6 months to year, 1 year, your income will range from 2 lakhs to 10 lakhs. The only thing which you have to do is that you sit in that setup for a few hours and maintain your timings, keep doing your consistent effort, and even if you are average in your work, you will still able to grow your clinic. Um, the most important thing in clinical setup is that you have to consistent with your timings, follow your timing, be committed to your work, be humble, and keep doing your work. Don't expect too much of growth in the first few months to a year. After 1 year, believe me, you will be able to reach a income of 1 to 2 lakh rupees within a month. This is just a graph I'm trying to explain why in long term the clinical jobs to ownership of a clinical business is the best way to follow. So if you look at in any job, you will get this gradual increment, which is also it is called as linear increment. The increment is always in percentage. Let's say 5% to maximum 12% a year you get. So it is always in percentage. But if you start a good business, you can see that first 1 to 3 years you may not have a lot of increment, sorry, a lot of income. But if you survive for 5 years, the income will increase very fast, and after 5 years, up to 10 years, it will go exponentially high. So I am insisting a lot of uh, people are nowadays, I'm insisting that you should go in the clinical business, and a lot of people nowadays are preferring to go in the clinical business. But before you go to the clinical business, start with a job, get experience in a clinical job or a hospital job, and then start your clinic. Or you can do the side by side, starting your job or also starting your own clinic. To understand this in more detail, how to start your own clinic and how to start the startup, I have already done a lot of videos earlier on my YouTube. You can see, I will show you the link after this slide. So if this is the important quadrant, like this is a business quadrant, or it is also called as cash flow quadrant. Employee, self-employed. This is called as employee, self-employed, business, and investment quadrant. This is the left side of the quadrant. In this, you get a lot of taxes. Like employees get around 20 to 40% taxes, and self-employed, which is a small business owner, they get around 30 to 60% taxes. Whereas if you start your own business, you have to pay less taxes, and in the long run, if you invest, you will have to pay less taxes. So on the left side, there is a very few tax advantages. On the business side, you have a lot of tax advantages. So my suggestion to most of you can start as an employee, then shift to self-employed, then shift to business quadrant. If you are working as an employee or self-employed, look at the financial things. So you get a personal income, and then you have to cut the profit, sorry, you get an income, the tax is always deducted from the income, and then you get paid. So taxes are always cut from your income, and then you get paid. Whereas in business, you do the business, you pay the expenses, and whatever the profit you make, the tax is applied on the profit, not on your income. So on left side, for the E and S side, the taxes are directly on your income, whereas on the business side, the taxes are on the profit, not on the income. So income minus expense, whatever the remains is the profit, and your taxes are based on the profit. So these are the lectures I already uploaded on the YouTube, which is explaining why and how to register your physiotherapy clinical business, how to start your clinical business, what type of registration of company should be done. And the next lecture also explains why to start your own clinical business, and why it is better than a job. I have explained in detail, so you can go on YouTube and watch these lectures. So if you want to know more about this, you can subscribe to this channel. And this is the website which talks about how to start physiotherapy business, which is www.physiopreneur.in. In that website, I'm giving information for budding therapists or the new therapists who want to start their own setup. So this is the end of the lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you for such great piece of information, sir. We will now be taking questions from the comment section.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir, so the first question is from TP asking how much monetary investment is required for setting up a clinic?
Actually, I already answered. On an average, 2 lakhs to 5 lakh for a small setup, around 200 to 100 skill is enough. Based on what type of setup you are planning, like if you are planning orthopedic or neuro, there might be some variation. But my suggestion to all of you, do not invest a lot of money in the first startup. Please understand, whenever you start any new business, first few startup or first few project are going to fail. So you should be able to ready to fail for 1 or 2 project. Your model may be wrong or your place may be wrong. So don't start with a big startup if you don't have any funding. So start with 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs, which you can easily spend, and then you will understand how things are working, what things are not working, and based on that you can decide when to switch and go to the larger business setup.
Great, sir. So, next question is by Dinesh Chavan. He is asking how to improve documentation, marketing, accounting in our own clinic.
See, for documentation, marketing, and accounting, I suggest if you do not have your own software, get Practo software. Actually, I got that Practo software in 15,000, and that software is very simple. You can do the documentation for assessment also. You can do the same software can be used for billing, for invoice making, and then payment also. So you don't have to track down all the thing. It automatically gives all the reports. So it is very simple. You can also put down your expenses in that, and after you are well versed with that software, then you might go for new software, or simply you can use Google Docs for documentation. I have already taken a video on this, how to do the Google Doc documentation for clinics as well as home visit.
Great, sir. So the next question is from Saloni Modi. She is asking, she has a lot of questions. First is, where would you get more home visits, colleges, hospital, or clinics?
See, colleges don't give home visits, so obviously no for colleges. You do get home visits from hospital. Earlier, like when I was working, I used to get a lot of home visits from hospitals because hospitals were not involved in home visit business. But recently, it has been observed a lot of hospital are providing their own therapists for home visits. So probably in near future, you may not get a lot of home visits from hospitals as well. But in clinics, the clinicians or the OPD owner or the clinic owner is not interested in a home visit. He will try to get the patient to the OPD, and if he can't go or if he's not able to provide services, he will suggest you, one of his member or you, to go for home visit. So it has been observed clinic owners are more flexible on home visit, and they give a lot of home visit compared to the hospitals. Only hospitals give a lot of home visit which are operated, like some hospital which do a lot of operations, like say joint replacement or spinal operation, they give a lot of home visit. But maybe in near future, maximum 2 to 3 years, you will see every hospital will have their own home visit business model, and new therapists will not get home visits from the hospitals.
Okay, so the next question is, in terms of going abroad, they're doing job in hospital or opening your own clinic, which one would be fruitful? It's by Saloni again.
So if you are going abroad, they will allow only to work in hospitals. Starting your own business there is not directly permittable, because to start your own startup, you have to do two things. Either you become a citizen there, after that you can apply for the business model there, or you have to do the business, combined business, or you should do the partnership with the local person there. He becomes the main owner of the business and you become the supportive owner, and then you can start your own setup. So every country has different variation, but overall, this is the generalized scenario abroad. Like you cannot directly start your own business if you are not a citizen of that country, or you do the partnership with some of the local persons there. And the local person only gives name. He may not give money or time. You have to invest your time, money, and energy, and still he will get a lot of percentage of your income.
Okay, great. So the following question is again by Saloni, that doing MPT would be more fruitful to open your clinic.
See, opening a clinic is like a business model. For business model, the degree does not matter. As I said, you may be BPT or MPT, it does not matter, because in real life, degree doesn't count. In real life, nobody asks your experience, nobody asks your workshops certificate or any certificate. In real life, they always ask, they go for your skills of therapy as well as your communication skill. I again give more importance to the communication skill and public relations skills. Skills more important. Even if you have average therapeutic skill, you will be able to convert more patients.
Great, sir. So, sir, due to time constraint, we will have to stop taking questions from the comment section. But before we end, we all
Just
would really
read the
like
question
to know.
and prefer whichever is more important or which will give larger scope of the
Yes, sir.
question to the audience.
So you can also go through the section once if you would like to answer any of the questions.
Okay. I think there is a one guy called Dheeraj Rai. He's asking, sir, I am currently pursuing BPT from Sharda University and it comes under UP jurisdiction. As far as I know, there is no state council for physiotherapists in UP. So from where should I get myself registered as a licensed practitioner? See, the licensed practitioners is always state-based subject. If your state doesn't have any council, you don't require license certificate. But you can become a member of your member of the Indian Association of IFE, because in India either a counseling is controlling the clinical practice or what is it, IAP. Uh, if your college is registered by the UGC and your degree is valid, you can start the practice. Nobody is going to question unless somebody complains that you are not a member of IAP or any council. You cannot get council registration from other state if you are not planning to work in other state. Like suppose you are from UP and you want to apply for council registration in Maharashtra and you are going to practice in UP, then they are not going to give license in Maharashtra unless you come to Maharashtra and practice here. You are thinking that you are going to practice, then only you will get council registration in Maharashtra or other state where you want to apply for registration. So I think this is the end of the session. Madam, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. But before we end, we would definitely like to know your story or any experience that you would want to share.
See, the story, if I say, because I was a clinician from the beginning, although I was working in academics for 12 years, but I always thought myself as a clinician. And to become a good academician, I always focused on my clinical practice. So it is important to keep treating patient. I worked in hospital, I worked in college, and I worked in clinics. But I think the most rewarding and in long term clinic are going to give you a lot of rewards. Unfortunately, in our profession, people think working in a clinic is about dignity. Working in a college is very very important. You get a lot of prestige, a lot of appreciation. You may not get appreciation in the beginning for 5 years, but if you look at any clinician in your state or in your city, those who are sustained for 5 to 10 years, their work is more appreciated than your teachers, or their work is more appreciated than the people who are working for 10 years, 20 years in hospital also. In long run, hospital jobs are not going to give you anything, because it is always the hospital's credibility increases, hospital's name will increase, but your name will never come. But if you sustain for 5 years in clinics, your name will be highly appreciated in your city or in your state. So that is why from last 1 year I am trying to promote clinics and clinical business to a lot of physiotherapists. I'm trying to teach how to start a startup. I'm trying to teach how to do the billing or business modeling in the physiotherapy. So nowadays 80% of the people want to go into college first, and after that they want to go into the hospital. Only 10-20% of the people are planning to go in the clinics. But I believe, and I am trying this, that I want to convert at least 50% of the people when they pass out of their college should by choice should go in the clinics or start their own startup. And believe me, everyone who is in clinic right now, he is the most richest person than any person who is working in the college or in the hospital.
Thank you for such great piece of advice, sir. I am sure it's going to help a lot of people as they plan to set up their own clinic. I hope all the participants have much more clarity now on this. And we request viewers, in case your questions have not been answered, or if you have any more questions, you can kindly put them in the comment section below after this live video is over, and we'll get back to you there. Do let us know your reviews and feedback in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and share this video if you found it useful. Coming to the end of the session, we hope to see you all again soon for our next session. So stay tuned. for same. This is your host Shweta Bagwe signing out for today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shweta.